I flew all the way from Singapore to this small town in Holland called Nadine, which is a fortress town. So we're here to check out one of my good friends, independent watchmaking brand Christiaan van der Klaauw, a homegrown Holland independent watchmaking brand. We are not just here to see the manufacturer, and I'm not even here to catch up with him, but it's really to check out the exclusive limited edition that is going to be collaborated with them, with Revolution, and I can't wait to show you guys. Very, very exciting, so let's go. Pim, how are you, man?
I'm good. Always good. Are you?
Oh man, I mean, I'm so excited to be here because we have a really amazing project that we were going to unveil in this interview, and I haven't actually seen the watch yet, right? But before we go into that, you know, Pim, you are known as a very, I would say, a veteran in the independent watchmaking space. But before that, you were actually a watchmaker by trade, right?
It all started not far from here at the watchmaking school in Amsterdam. And it was a 4-year training, watchmaking training. And already there I met Christiaan van der Klaauw. He's now 81 years old, amazing. But I met him already like 25 years ago. But after my watchmaking school, I really wanted to work for Christiaan. So I went with my CV to the northern part of Holland, and I went to his house. He had this beautiful atelier in his garage.
Really?
On the garage door there was a huge planetarium painted on that.
That's amazing.
Crazy. But anyway, I told him, I really want to work with you. And at the time I had some connections in Geneva already with the CEO of Frederick Constant.
Yeah, Niels, we know well, yeah.
And also I won a prize as best watchmaker of the watchmaking school.
Amazing.
And they sent me to Patek Philippe in Geneva. So it was Christiaan actually who told me, no, go to Geneva if you have the chance, a year or two, and then come back and work with me. And but I stayed 21 years in Geneva. But I followed his advice. And during my stay, after my internship at Patek, I started to work at Frederick Constant. Mm-hmm. We were like 10 people at this company at the time, so it was very small, mm-hmm. Very small workshop, even smaller than here.
Wow!
And but the company and the brand grew very fast. We added Alpina watches as well, and from the first watchmaker of the company I became the technical director, and later on we created with the founder of Frederick Constant, Peter Stas, mm-hmm. We created the brand Atelier de Monaco. Wow. Which was very high-end.
Yeah.
We created watches, unique pieces for the Prince of Monaco,
yeah. Things
like that. So really fun. So every time he challenged me to stay in Geneva, and until in 2016, Citizen Group took over, and I learned a lot from the Japanese. But after all, I wanted to be more an entrepreneur, and that's why I went back with my family to Holland. And I had the great opportunity to take over this beautiful company, Christiaan van der Klaauw.
It's amazing. So what did Christiaan say when you got him waiting for 21 years?
It was kind of funny because one of the big collectors, he was collecting a lot of watches from Atelier de Monaco, mm-hmm. Frederick Constant, but also Christiaan van der Klaauw.
Interesting.
And he knew already before Christiaan that I took over the company. And he invited Christiaan at a 3-star restaurant to have dinner with him. And he invited me as well. And he said, what is he doing here, you know? And then we explained that he was really emotional and very happy.
With the acquiring of Christiaan van der Klaauw in 2022, you got
exactly.
acquired. You know, and now we have been running Christiaan Vanderklaar for what, 4 years now almost, right? Well, it's been quite a journey.
Yeah.
But tell me a little bit more about Christiaan Vanderklaar.
Yeah, he started actually. He did the school in the city of Leiden. That's not so far from here, and Leiden is the city where our greatest and most important watchmaker ever.
Really?
Not even from Holland, but from the world probably.
What's his name?
Was Christiaan Huygens. He invented the balance wheel and the
Christiaan
hairspring.
Huygens is Dutch.
Yeah, it was from the town where he studied.
Okay.
Christiaan studied instrument maker. That means that you can make anything by your proper hands.
Wow.
And the cool thing is that he was so passionate about clocks. And at the same time, the university where he was studying was next to the observatory. So he was so passionate about clockmaking and with astronomy. And that mix became that he was the first clockmaker at the time that, or the only one that was focusing on making clocks with astronomical complications.
That's very cool.
Yeah. So he made like the 3D moon phase, which you see nowadays in some watches, also in our watches, in 1980 in a clock. So very special. And planetarium clocks, for example.
That's amazing. But he has been working with astronomical complication like since he started the brand, right? Because that was his obsession, right?
Yes.
As a clockmaker.
Yeah.
And I know that in a number of years later, I think in the 90s, he started making wristwatches, right?
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
In 1996, actually the business of wall clocks became less and less. And he thought, okay, I have a beautiful product here with beautiful functions, but how can I really give an impulse to my business? And he started to make watches because he saw also, he was member of the AHCI,
that's right. Yeah.
Academy of
He was a very early one, right?
Very early.
Yeah.
He was standing in the booth together with Frank Muller, just one booth with one window,
Exactly.
and together with the others like FP Journe, etc. And he saw them selling watches, and the clocks were a little bit behind. So he thought, okay, I'll make a watch as well. And he actually, that's a true story, by the way. He put the dial on the copy machine, the big dial of the clock, and he copied it, and he made it smaller and smaller on the copying machine until he had a paper, cut it out, and put it on his own watch. And he said, "Wow, that looks nice."
Interesting.
So, and the next step was that all the functions, very complicated of course, he managed on the machines where he made the big clocks to make the small components of the watches as well.
The same machine that's making the clocks, he used that to make watches.
Yes, yeah.
Wow.
And that was the start of the astronomical watches, which was in 1996. And in 1999, he made his first, the world's first planetarium watch.
Wow. So the planetarium I remember it's the planets on 12 o'clock, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Wow.
Planets at 12 o'clock, and it featured the 6 planets of our solar system.
Very
cool.
cool.
Sun in the middle, of course.
Wow. I want to talk a little bit about the acquisition during 2022 when you became the owner of this brand. How did that make you feel, having such a long relationship with Christiaan?
Yeah, amazingly proud, and I mean, I was so determined to make this brand ready for the next 100 years. Of course, I'm sure I cannot do the whole 100 years, but at least I'll try as big as I can.
Wow, I mean,
as much as
you have been really doing great work, with the brand, and Christiaan Vanderklaar now is also on the world map, and so also in our own region we have a retailer that actually carries Christiaan Vanderklaar, Sincere. So shout out to SHH, of course.
Of course.
It's been really cool to see the evolution of what the brand has come to. And of course, in 2 years ago, Revolution did our first ever collaboration with you. right? It is the sandblasted titanium aventurine dial planetarium. That was a revelation for us because it was a wristwatch that comes with an astronomical complication, but it was made in a way that is still functional, wearable, and actually easy to wear, easy to use. But people don't often forget that astronomical complications are very complicated.
Of course. The combination with the modern touch and the classical elements, like we were one of the first brands using aventurine dials, for example. And this is really nice. You have the aventurine dial with the titanium case, which is like contrast. And then the cool thing that we did is the SuperLumiNova on the planets.
Our Revolution Planetarium is also the first planetarium that has full lume on all of the planets, right?
Yes.
So that really makes me incredibly proud. And with the aventurine, now aventurine is like everybody's using aventurine. I mean, 2026.
Yeah, it's more and more. Sure.
But back then, in 2024, when we created that piece, the aventurine is a reflection of the starry skies in space, right?
Yeah,
Astronomical complication is all about space. And back then, I remember 2024, you also upgraded the look of the movement as well.
Yeah,
with the starry skies, bridges, and all that. We're going to talk more about that as well. So the planetarium, it's the inception of what the Grand Planetarium is going to be. All right, it is of course your most complicated watch and is the most, I would say, ambitious astronomical complication that nobody actually did except you guys.
Yeah, it is, if you want to wrap it up in a couple words, completely crazy. But it's true. I mean, it's not only our most complicated watch, but it's the most complicated planetarium ever built.
Yes.
And it has the complexity of a minute repeater you can compare it with, like the number of components. The only thing is that it's all gear train.
Yes.
So we went a bit crazy and counted the teeth, and there are 3,338 teeth inside this watch.
Insane. What went behind the evolution? Because you went from 6 planets to now the entire solar system, 9 planets, ending at Neptune.
First of all, I have to say that when I acquired the company in 2022, Christiaan himself, 81 years old at the moment, he was already working on a watch that had the 6 planets as well, but fully on the dial. So full dial planetarium.
Wow.
So not at 6 o'clock, but complete dial. And the specialty about this watch was that it was not a disc with a planet on top that turns centrically, but all the planets, like in our real solar system, have their own center. So an eccentrical planetarium. And this I saw when I first came to his very small workshop where he was still working, not for business, just for fun. He showed me this watch and I said, well, the company will exist 50 years very soon. Is it maybe an idea to work together and come out with this as a base? And he told me, yeah, well, it might be a good idea. And I said, okay, but maybe it's a good idea because we already built a planetarium watch for Van Cleef.
Yep.
In 2014 and in 2018, the Lady Arpels.
And you won a GPHG for that as well?
Exactly. And the most complicated one was 6 planets already. So I thought maybe it's good to have go to the next step, to the end boss directly, right?
Nice.
And so we went for 8 planets eccentrical.
Wow.
That was the challenge. So he made the drawings on a piece of paper with a compass and a pencil. And then I transformed it to this century watchmaking with industrialization. It's a crazy term if you make only 10, 15 watches of this a year, but like nowadays watchmaking in the computer with 3D modeling, etc.
Wow.
Yes.
This watch was launched for the 50 years anniversary of Christiaan van der Klaauw, and you did a couple of very limited special editions for your retailers as well.
Yeah.
I know the very last one was with SSH, right, with the yellow gold case with the eccentric looking dial with
So
painted
crazy.
colors. Yeah, that was beautiful. And you made 3 pieces.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know that it was all scooped up that night.
It was crazy. One dinner and gone. Of course, as a watchmaker, the goal is to make beautiful watches. But then it's the cherry on the cake if people like it actually.
Exactly.
And this was like,
you can be crazy, but you need to people that understand and love what crazy things you're doing.
Yeah.
And that is like instant validation. And I think it's often not talked about that the Grand Planetarium is a whole nother monster on its own. There's nothing like this in the market, and I understand why people don't want to do it, because it's hard. It's very, very difficult. It's very, very complicated, and it's and hence why you can only make 10, 15 watches a year.
Yeah. You can imagine, and this you can capture maybe better why it's this complicated, because of course we have the base movement with some wheels that turn like an hour wheel once in 24 hours, and we have of course the escapement wheel, which is turning very fast, as everybody knows. But to make the planets turn at the right pace and the right position, you have to slow it down. And so if you look at the watch, we'll show you later.
Yeah.
But we have the first planet that goes around the sun, nearest to the sun.
Yeah, Mercury, right?
Mercury. Mercury is turning once in 88 days. And then you go to Venus, 224 days. Planet Earth, of course, it's once a year. Our calendar is based on that.
365 point something, yeah.
And then you go slower and slower and slower until Uranus and Neptune.
Yeah.
And so those two go 88 years for Uranus and 164.8 years for Neptune.
So basically, in a whole human lifetime, you will not see the Neptune go one round, basically.
No, I hope not for you.
So of course, after we did our planetarium, our own planetarium, of course, with Revolution in 2024, we did 6 pieces. Because of course, all sold out. And I was, and I know that Wei has an idea, with you, and it was talked about for the last 1 year, to come up with, because the thing is, the Grand Planetarium itself is a very old school complication.
Yeah.
But how do we input in a way that, how do we create something that is old school yet comes with very amazing modernity?
Yeah.
And you had an amazing idea to use a very different kind of dial, which is actually polished when it was produced, but we haven't really seen anybody use it in an astronomical complicated watch.
Yeah.
And it's silicon.
Yeah.
Right. So before we go into that, I'm really excited. I really want to see the watch. By the way, I haven't seen the watch yet.
It's true.
Right.
It's true.
So this is, for me, my first unveiling of what the real watch is going to look like. And so Pim, would you do the pleasure? Oh, wow. Wow.
So let me explain a little bit. So first of all, we have the case is sandblasted stainless steel, but it is impregnated with carbon molecules, which makes it 5 times harder than regular stainless steel. So
wow,
it is 1200 Vickers hardness.
It's even harder than titanium.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, much more than titanium.
Much harder
Amazing.
than titanium. Yeah.
So it's carbon infused into the stainless steel,
Exactly.
and then made into the case.
So it's another layer on top.
Got it.
No, you have the molecules of the steel, and in between we impregnate it with this carbon, which makes it really, really hard.
Amazing.
Then of course we have the feature of the dial, which this gives it a very special and very modern look, as you said. It is made out of silicon. So
Amazing.
probably people know silicon being used in escapement wheels,
Yes.
other things.
Yeah.
I personally have a lot of experience with that. And so I thought this dial should be very precise, because all the planets are turning exactly in between. So as silicon you can produce very precise.
Yep.
And the cool thing is that I wanted to have, which we did also with the first Revolution model with the lume. I didn't want to print it on top. I wanted to go through the silicon. So what we did is we etched out the silicon, and then you can really look through it. Underneath, we put in the SuperLumiNova.
My God, so it's like a sandwich dowel in a way.
Exactly, exactly. And this SuperLumiNova lights up in the dark, of course, but it shows you the orbit times of all the planets.
It's amazing, man. Yeah. So the silicon itself, the dowel is purple though. So this is treated, or
it's oxidized silicon. Yes.
I see.
Yes.
Wow.
Usually silicon is kind of grayish, but I love this tint of oxidation because sometimes it's green, sometimes it's black, sometimes it's purple.
It depends on the light.
It really depends, and it's like a mirror. And the cool thing is that if it's in the dark, then even the planets will reflect in the mirror. It's really cool.
Exactly.
It's really cool.
You know, the funny enough, because the dowel is big, I can see my face because it's mirror polished. That's amazing. You know, this. Oh man, I'm speechless because it's so nice. It's so modern. You know, a lot of the Grand Planetariums itself, we do have aventurine dowels. You know, it's a beautiful dowel. Don't get me wrong. But you know, sometimes I wonder if I can add something a bit more modern, something a bit more of celebrating old school complications with something that is from today or from the future, you know, in a way. And I think this is it, you know, with this tint.
I think there's a little bit of Singapore inside.
Why is that?
I think very modern, very moving, very fresh.
It is, yeah, it is definitely very fresh. And you know, I never thought that I would see like Grand Com in this kind of configuration. You know, the dowel just pops in front,
out,
and it's going to pop more at night because everything else is lume, the planets and of course the sandwich dowel. You know, but one of the things that you know, people know about the Grand Planetarium now. I mean, it is quite a successful watch. You know, it's your best watch. And the thing about it is like the complication that comes with it is not just on the 8 planets. There is actually more to this watch. If there's indication of course, horoscopes, there's indication of the every 21st of every month, but there is also a month indicator as well, right?
So in this particular watch, we have a couple indications around the last circle of the planet Neptune. And here, it's a little bit different as a standard watch because I want to have this really poetic indications. So instead of writing down our zodiac signs, we have the actual signs of the zodiac cut out in the SuperLumiNova.
Very cool.
And there's a 0 until 360 between each zodiac sign. And that means that's the start of each zodiac sign. So, of course, we have our calendar that is based on the revolution of the Earth.
Yep.
And at the opposite side of our the Earth, here in the watch,
you do have it indicated as a blue arrow here?
Yes. And that little triangle indicates towards the outside of the watch, which is indicating the start of a new zodiac sign, which is the 21st of the month.
Very interesting.
And that's also how you do the fine-tuning of the watch or the regulation, the quick setting. You pull the crown, very easy, and then you can move all the planets forward or backwards.
That's insane.
And they're all always in sync because they're all connected with one big geometry. If Earth is correct, the rest is correct as well.
Wow, that's amazing, man. See, that's the thing. You see, this is something that's doable. A lot of people are very afraid of grand complications because of how technical it is, and sometimes it's very difficult to actually set it.
Yeah.
But with this, you know, I think that's the genius thing about you back then with Frederick Constant as well. You know, we have the one crown operation, you know, all that kind of stuff. It's very, very practical, and it's actually very technical.
Yeah.
And you input it right here with this Grand Com is amazing. Like, to do this and to set all 8 planets, it's got to be hard, man.
Yeah.
It's got to be hard. Wow.
But we did it.
And I gotta say one thing is that in the sapphire glass, I see Roman numerals as well. you know. So tell me a little bit more about that as well.
Yeah, actually, I have to go back a little bit to when I acquired the company. I didn't acquire the company from Christiaan because he was already retired when he was 65. But I acquired the company from Daniel Maria, who took care of the company for 15 years.
Wow.
And they really had these beautiful ideas of design and the visual identity and DNA of the brand is very strong, which has this indication of the Roman numerals from 9 until 3, which is actually indicating the horizon, so very the cool. Sunrise and the sunset.
Wow, very poetic. I like that very much.
Exactly.
And one thing I gotta say that many people miss is also different from the original planetarium is that the Grand Planetarium, the second hand is indicated in the middle, represented by the sun.
True.
So it's quite minute, but if you look at it closely, the sun is actually turning.
It's all about the details, man.
Exactly, exactly. Oh my God, it's such a beautiful piece.
And of course, you have to turn it around.
Yes, so this is the Grand Planetarium movement. This is, I would say, the V2, because I know that the it was upgraded with a new and beautiful rotor from the original planetarium. I think 2024, you added the new aesthetic of the movement, right?
Yes,
right.
Yeah. It's not only aesthetic. It's really it's a new base which in 2017, even before I came. They already developed, or starting the development with Christiaan van der Klaauw and with Andreas Streder.
Wow, okay.
And this development, we created really an in-house movement, which we make here behind my back.
Yes.
And yeah, it's a beautiful finished. All the bridges have star shapes, finished by hand. Engagement with a beautiful and a little bit more modern
finishing.
Yeah, finishing. The finishing is actually hand polished, black polished, and then cut out around the stars with laser.
Wow.
It's frosted around.
It's very, very cool. So the stars are actually raised.
Yes,
it's
exactly.
3D. So if you look at it, you think that it's like spotting on the bridges or like star motif on the bridges. But when you look at it on the side, it's like everything is like
exactly.
Like it's like applied, but it's part of the bridge. It basically, you laser it out, all of the other parts itself. And I like the contrast between a black polish, and then you have that frosting, kind of matte gray finish. You know, it really contrasts really well, and it gives this kind of a very. It's a very nice eye pleasure to look at the movement, right? And last but not least, of course, the beautiful skeletonized sun ray rotor, right? So tell me a little bit more about that design as well.
This design is actually our logo. It represents 12 claws that are making the sun a whole. So each claw is skeletonized in this case.
Yes.
In rose gold.
Yeah, so you got half a sun basically. It's
yes,
acting like
exactly,
a sun rotor. You know, I gotta say, man, it's a really unique execution of a movement, and it's really beautiful. It's beautiful in its own unique way, you know. And I think that it's so fitting as well because it's such a focus on astronomical complication, and you have a movement that's finished just like the Tao, you know.
Yeah.
It is all about the tribute to astronomy, right? Which I love. I love that. It's, oh my God, it's such a breathtaking watch, you know, to be honest. It is a big watch because of its complication. You need that Tao. This is what, 44, right?
It is 44, yes.
44, but on the wrist, it's really great, man. You really did a good job with the ergonomics on the case.
Yeah, the thing is that first of all, we have the lugs that are slightly tapered and not so big, so they're very much more refined. On top of that, we have the glass box, which gives you a nice look inside of the the watch with the planets turning around.
You can see side view as well. You can even see the prongs on the planet as well. Really cool.
But it makes it a little bit more fine, a little bit more slim.
Interesting.
And that's where and why it wears very, very easy.
Honestly, you want to tell the information of 8 planets, you gotta have a dial that's big enough to tell.
Exactly.
Right? So you can't have a Grand Planetarium with such a small dial, you know, that's not the point about this. This is really to showcase the capability of what you can do, and also to showcase meaningful information for this astronomical complication. And this, to me, is just right. You know, I think it's great. It wears well on the wrist, and I kind of wanted hardened steel because I wanted the watch to be a bit more weighty, right? But it is still very balanced on the wrist. It's not like it's like, oh wow, it's very heavy. It's great. Yeah. The weight balance on the wrist is great to wear. I mean, the size is big enough for me to see everything, you know. And damn, that little oxidization on that silicon is just
pops out. Eh?
Pops out, man. It's like a disco watch, man. Honestly, it's really great. So. Oh man, I'm speechless. It's really such a beautiful watch, and I'm very glad I'm able to wear this home. If you watch this video, basically we're launching it right now. All right, and we're only gonna make 6 pieces. Yes. All right, I know that your total production numbers is just like 10 to 15 pieces, so I'm sorry to take half of your annual production away, but representing Revolution, you know, we're really very grateful and very thankful to be able to do this collaboration with you. Once again, our second collaboration, and to do the biggest watch. The best, I would say one of the best watches that you are producing.
Holy grail.
And also the watch that you're extremely proud of as well.
Yeah.
You know, and to come over here all the way to Holland, right, to come to a manufacturer to actually collect this watch and to actually catch up with you and look at what went behind the watch is extremely touching, and it means a lot, like, to me. And I'm very excited to show this watch out to everybody else. The price of this is, if I'm estimation, is about 145,000 Swiss francs, right?
Yes.
So we have 6 pieces and all of them are numbered, all right? And if you are interested, yeah, I mean, let us know. That's it. I got nothing else to say, but really kudos, man. Really great job with this. I'm very happy. I'm extremely proud. So this is it, guys. So this is the Christiaan and Revolution Grand Planetarium Eccentric. We're going to only make 6 pieces. Right, it's going at 145,000 Swiss francs, excluding taxes. I really like it, and I hope you like it too. All right, thank you very much, Pim.
Thanks a lot for coming all the way here.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.